and welcome to Time Out with Remax. My name's Adrian and I'm the CEO of Remax of Southern Africa. Have you ever wanted to boost your personal, business or professional resilience? Well, then this next session with Joni Peddie is made for you. For the last 24 years, Joni's worked with individuals to help them shift behaviors to live and operate at their optimal levels of energy and vitality. And in this next session, she's going to share with Remax 5 practical tips to boost your resilience in an engaging and practical session. We hope you enjoy today and look forward to catching you on the next Time Out with Remax.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Adrian, for that lovely introduction. I really want to make sure that we make a difference together. So what are we going to do? Is we're going to look at resilience from your perspective, personally, from your business perspective, and of course in your homes. What are you doing to be more resilient? So what I've got 5 techniques for you. They are really, really simple. But of course, they have to be based in something. So what is that something? That something is neuroscience. And I'm going to say to you, I'm not a neuroscientist, but I am a frustrated one. So I've brought my brain with me today. Yes, my second brain. Everything I speak about today will be based in some kind of research. So this fantastic organ that we have between our ears is the organ that gets us up in the morning, that gets us driving, doing, looking at our goals, looking at what we're doing as sales associates, as support people in Remax. So what are you doing and what can you do differently for your brain in a time where people are suffering? We know that we are suffering from fear, anxiety, overwhelm, and just really not knowing what to prioritize on a daily basis. So we've got to look at how we do these things differently. If we look at ourselves in terms of energy systems, what are we about? We're mental energy, we're emotional energy, we're physical energy, and we are spiritual energy. You're on a daily basis looking at goals. What do you want to achieve? How much money you want to earn? How are you running your businesses? But of course, we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our physical, emotional, and mental energy. So I'm going to equip you today with ways to deal with that. And I have to tell you that I love to do things in a way that's memorable. My purpose on the planet is to inspire resilience and make it practical. So it's all about how to remember these 5 techniques and how to integrate them into your lives in seamless ways. There's so many things out there and you go, oh my goodness, that's a good thing to remember, and you do it for a day or two and then you forget it. So let's do it in seamless ways, and I'm going to ask you to use your left hand. You're watching me right now, and pick up your left hand. Come on, let's make this interactive, let's engage. Because once you start anchoring new ideas on a physical part of your body, you're never going to forget. So here we go. This acronym is called BOOST. And there are 5 letters to it, and I've really looked at which letter should be triggered by which finger, and of course ending off with a thumb. So we will start with the B. But I'm going to say to you is that there is something for you in this. And I have 2 daughters. They are 20 and 22, and I still bribe them. And they say, but Mum, you don't bribe us. But I'm quite clever about how I influence and bribe them because I want them to do things that are going to enhance their lives. So I'm going to bribe you, and I'm going to say that from the get-go. I'm going to say that if you email me after you've watched this, you will get 2 gifts. But what's the catch? The catch is you have to use your left hand and say, Joni, with BOOST, I am doing these 5 things differently. So nothing for nothing. You do not get your 2 gifts if you don't email me using those 5 letters and saying specifically what you are doing differently. So shall we get going? Let's start with B. And I want you just to think for a few seconds, what does B stand for? When Joni's talking about mental energy, physical energy, emotional energy, running our businesses differently, what do you think B stands for? And I guess some of you may not get this, but it's all about bed. And oh my goodness, this is a business channel. Why are we talking about bed? Well, sleep is the Swiss Army knife of health. And if you have a look at the routines around sleep, many of us do not have good sleep hygiene. So I wanted to share with you what we can do differently around your sleep hygiene. But let me first start with, what is the importance around this? Well, when we're living in the state of fear with high cortisol, high adrenaline, this feeling of overwhelm, and I have to admit that many people I'm dealing with are either depressed or really in a very kind of retracted, slow wave kind of living where they are moody and suffering severe anxiety as well. So again, back to my famous friend here, the brain, this great organ, is that we need to sleep because this brain is busy at night. What is it doing? So what is it doing? During the day, wakefulness is actually toxicity. So for the 16 hours or so that you're awake during the day, your brain is producing toxins, and it needs to flush those out at night. So I've brought with me a fun neuron. This is a neuron, okay? Look at this little creature. It's got eyes just to make it animated and good looking. This is the dendrite coming off the neuron. You've got these in your brain by billions, we know. But what happens between these two neurons is that during the day, plaque forms. It's much like plaque between your teeth. What happens at night is your brain is busy. It needs to get rid of this plaque. This plaque has a name, it's beta amyloid, and you only get rid of that plaque when you sleep at least 7 hours a night. So as we get older, we start to use these ridiculous sayings like, oh my goodness, I'm losing my mind, my memory isn't as good as it used to be. Your memory can be absolutely phenomenal at 92, and the same as what you were at 52. But you need to get rid of the plaque on a daily basis, and that requires good sleep. So here are some tips. That's the science behind it, but what can you start to do differently? So the finger that we're using here is the baby finger. Do any of you say to your family members, make me a pinky promise, to your tiny kids? And you need to keep those pinky promises. So this is a pinky promise to yourself. Because yes, the other 4 tips I'm going to give you are really important, but this trumps everything. This really is the Swiss Army knife of your health. So I'm going to share what I do. I'm going to share some of the tips I've read about that I don't do. The first thing that I do is 1 hour before I go to bed at night is I have a daily digital detox. So I do use glasses. I'm just going to bend down and pick them up. I go read 1 hour before bed. And you can get these glasses from our website. Why do I promote them? Is because this enables my brain to develop enough melatonin to get that slow wave sleep that gets rid of that beta amyloid. So I wake up refreshed in the morning. I'd like to actually be a bit provocative here. What we should be doing in these pandemic times is we should be setting an alarm to go to bed at night and waking up naturally. Many of us are not driving anywhere in the morning. Some of us are not even taking kids to school. What about if you wake up naturally in the morning? If you have set your circadian rhythm to really go to sleep at the same time every night, you will wake up naturally at the same time every morning. So hand on heart, that is what I'm doing. Is I go read 1 hour before bed. I walk around the house. I know I don't look great because white light from your ceiling lights, blue light from all of your devices, your TV, your laptop, your cell phone, your iPad, all of that blue light affects your pineal gland. So you want minimum 60 minutes of not getting any of that light into your brain. When we used to live in the veldt, our circadian rhythm was set by the sun going down, that beautiful red light going into our eyes, and then the sun coming up. So as humans, we are designed to live by that circadian rhythm. And just over the years, we've started working later at night. Some of us are binge watching Netflix series and of course not going to bed until really, really late, and then struggling to get up in the morning. If you're feeling like you're just tired, you're feeling a bit brain fogged, it could be because you're getting the hours of sleep, but you're not getting the quality of sleep. So there are 2 parts to the sleep story. One is quantity, minimum 7 hours a night, and the second is quality. so that you get that brain getting rid of all of those toxins and that you can wake up naturally. So the first tip is to have a 1-hour digital detox, preferably with red glasses. If you haven't got red glasses, here's another thing that you could do. You could dim all the house lights. You could go to Builder's Warehouse, buy some red paint, and literally spray paint your globes. Walk around and have a red light district in your home. So try that. Try not watching series, anything on TV for 1 hour before you go to bed. I take out a paper book, I read a novel every night, and I have to say that I have noticed a vast, vast difference in my own anxiety, my own fear, my sense of overwhelm, by just escaping into something beautiful and creative at night, reading a good old novel. So dust off some of those paperbacks that you have stored in your garage or wherever, ask a great mate for a book to read, and just get back into the habit of reading. From a neuroscience perspective, I'll use a different brain right now, this little chap. We know that your prefrontal cortex, that's your thinking part of your brain, your problem solving, your logic part of your brain. We know that that part of the brain really honors good night's sleep. You start to think creatively and differently about solving problems the next day. Reading a novel at night activates this left part of your prefrontal cortex, the lateral ventricle, and actually you will be more creative the next day. So it is not a waste of time. Many years ago, I used to think, novels are for beach holidays. During the year, I'm going to read leadership books. I'm fascinated by leadership. And when I swapped that out and I started reading creative novels that are really interesting to me during the year, I do find that I am more creative. So try doing that. Some of us also need to have a really good nighttime routine. So I am vociferous about the fact that when I'm finished work, that part of my day is done. I ring fence it. I then have supper with my family, and yes, sometimes I do need to work after supper. I put those red glasses on, but I try and finish work before supper. We sit down as a family, we have a good meal together. I pack food for the next day for family members who are traveling, and then when I open my bedroom door, that is my time of the day that all problems, financial, children, leaking roof, problem with the pool, all of those problems I put aside. And I literally have a routine. Last night I decided I'd had a lovely day out in nature, and I treated myself to a beautiful Epsom salts bubble bath. And if you put some lavender in there, that actually does relax the body. So perhaps that's something you could do, Epsom salts and lavender in a bath. And then what I also do is I just make sure that I have no family discussions about problems in my bedroom. So the bedroom is for 3 things. It's for sleeping, it's for reading novels, and it's for intimacy. It is not for anything else. Please don't be eating, working, watching TV in your bedroom. And do not start an argument with your significant other in your bedroom either. So make that sleep hygiene and that sanctitude of the bedroom really good for you. I'm finding reading international sites now that people are spending money on their bedrooms, having a good bed, really good sheets, block out curtains, so that that bedroom feels like a hotel bedroom. We're spending so much time at home. Maybe it's a good investment to really invest in your bedroom. Feel like a hotel, cleanliness, get rid of the clutter, etc. While I speak about block out curtains, here's something else I want to share with you, is that if you have curtains where the outside light, maybe a street light comes through or bright moonlight comes through, you absolutely will benefit by having better quality sleep if you wear a mask. So I'll put it on just for fun, putting on a mask at night. These we have made by the Rhea Booker Foundation. They are fantastic. They're soft and velvety under here, so they're really comfy, and then you may not be able to see, but the eyelashes are beaded. So the Rhea Booker Foundation, you can see these on our website as well. We support these rural ladies who can't work in urban areas. Many of them have lost their children and they're looking after their grandchildren. So they earn money by doing this beading. What they also do for us is they make these cell phone beds. So many of us are addicted to our mobile phones. What you want to get into the habit of doing is at night, this should also go to sleep 1 hour before you go to sleep. So this should go underneath its own duvet, on its own little pillow, and this should be perhaps in another room. Now I know many of us rely on this to wake us up. The alarm is on here. So if it's next to your bed, please have it on airplane mode. There's tremendous research coming out about brain cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer as a result of having these electromagnetic waves coming into our bodies. So these are on your bedside table. Some of the people that I deal with, you may be one of them, have 2 of them on your bedside table. It's just dreadful for your health. So airplane mode, please. You can also get these little beautiful cell phone beds from the Rhea Booker Foundation. Look at our website. And the reason I'm promoting them is it's our CSI project, and it makes my heart warm that we help entrepreneurs. So you're an entrepreneur, help other entrepreneurs. Okay, so that is really sleep. Is there anything else I wanted to tell you about sleep? No, but just to say that it really is the Swiss Army knife of health. And if you're not prioritizing at least 7 hours a night and quality sleep, you're not going to be able to think about these complex problems we have in the world and how you are running your businesses and what you're going to do differently. So role model this to your children. When my children walk into my room, they see that my phone is in its bed on my bedside table. It's just a lovely ritual. It makes me smile when I go to bed. They see me reading my novel. So my children never see me in bed watching a Netflix series. Please don't do that to yourself. Okay, so you may have some tips here. It's your pinky promise to yourself. If you're wanting one of the gifts that I'm going to give you, you need to write down what you're going to do differently and to prioritize your sleep quantity-wise and quality-wise. Okay, we're going on to the ring finger. So this is the O in boost your resilience, and I'm wondering if you could figure out what that might be. This for me is the second priority. It's to get oxygen to your brain. So how can you do that? Most people do not like exercise or don't have time for exercise. So what can you do differently to thread exercise into your daily routine? I think it's a must. I really do. In fact, not I think, I know it's a must. That you have to get fresh oxygenated blood to your brain. You have to do that in order to think differently. So if you think about what the brain is designed to do, it's designed there as a survival organ between your ears. So if you're going to survive, you're going to really thrive, it's about making sure that this organ is well oxygenated. So what I do is I particularly am a runner, so for me my routine is very easy. I do wake up naturally. I have to say between 4:30 and 5:15 every morning I wake up, get up, I go running with my mates at 6, and yes, I love it. That's a social part of my day. Even in COVID times, we run social distancing. We're very good about our hygiene, but that does get me to the start of the day and really get me going for the day. It boosts my serotonin, it boosts my dopamine, and there's also fantastic neuroscience research showing that if you are part of the first sunlight of the day, that first hour of sunlight, that extra serotonin to your brain is really beneficial. So many of us do what? The first part of our day is looking at our mobile phones. Please don't do that. Please rather go for a walk. Even a 2-minute walk will enable you to get that sunlight into your eyes. Your eyes are not just eyes. They actually are part of your brain, and we forget that. It's just an extrusion of your brain. And these glial cells here in your eyes are very important. They need morning sunlight. In fact, I've started a ritual now in the afternoons. Also, and it's not always the same time, it depends on my meetings, but I try and see that last bit of light of the day. So what can you do if you don't enjoy running or cycling or doing any of those activities? You can look at perhaps a trampoline. So that's what's on the slide right now, is you can look at investing in one of these. We have rebounders on our site, on our website, and the research is clear. 2 minutes of just jumping up and down on your rebounder is equivalent to a 6-minute run, a 10-minute swim, and a 22-minute walk. So I'm suggesting to you that if you don't like exercise, you try and break it up into these 2-minute slots during the day. You might have a trampoline. I had one of my clients the other day that showed me that he's got a trampoline for his kids, and now he's jumping on his kids' trampoline and having a lot of fun with him. So a trampoline, a skipping rope is a good idea. 2 minutes of skipping. Break it down. So do 2 minutes before your breakfast, 2 minutes before your lunch, and 2 minutes before your supper. 6 minutes a day is better than nothing. And if it's broken down into these bite-sized microburst chunks, you are more likely to do it. Professor B.J. Fogg from Stanford University has got a fantastic philosophy around tiny habits. He says the smaller you make them, the more likely you are to continue them. So try these tiny little habits. Perhaps you want to step it up a notch. You want to look at just downloading the free Nike app on exercise, 7 to 10 minutes. If you did that 3 times a day, you would get what the World Health Organization is telling you to do, that 30 minutes a day. So 20 to 30 minutes is what you should aim for. Your brain will love you for it. And guess what? If we go back to the pinky promise, you will sleep better as well. People who exercise definitely sleep better than people who don't. So what about just getting fresh oxygenated blood to your brain without exercise? There's a technique that we have called 4-7-8. It was started by Dr. Andrew Weil. It's been popularized by Dr. Mercola, who has got a fantastic website that looks at all sorts of health issues. In its simplest form, it's breathing in for 4 counts. So breathe in, get this Buddha belly, expand your belly as you breathe in, and then hold your breath for 7 counts, and then slowly release the breath out of your mouth for 8 counts. So I'll repeat that. The 4-7-8 breathing is really simple. Breathe in to the count of 4, expand the belly, hold for 7 counts, and then breathe out for 8. So let's paint a little scenario around that. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're looking at your diary, you're supposed to have made those calls, you're supposed to have put that mandate out, whatever you had to do, but time is ticking and you're not getting through what you have to do. You know that you're not going to finish everything on your to-do list in the afternoon between 3 and perhaps 5 o'clock when you've got a children's activity on. Stand up at your desk, standing, having an aerial view of your desk, do that 4-7-8 breathing 4 times. Your brain will reset itself, you'll look down at your priority list, and I guarantee you will pick what needs to be done, what's urgent, and what's important. But most importantly, because you've got that fresh oxygenated blood to your brain, you'll be sharper and quicker. Let me use this lovely little analogy. You're driving along and it starts to spitter, spatter, a little bit of rain. Your windscreen gets mucky, doesn't it? A little bit of rain is horrible. We want a big downpour to clean that windscreen. Well, a little bit of rain, you've got those muggies on your windscreen, you've got little hohos on your windscreen. Isn't that a beautiful South African word? Hohos. And your windscreen gets mucky. Then, of course, you get your windscreen wiper going, you get your spray water going, and you clean your windscreen. And you go, oh my goodness, I can see clearly now. There's a song in that as well. You start to see clearly. That's exactly what the 4-7-8 breathing does for you. You start to see clearly. Use it at night. I've had a few nights, I must admit, during these pandemic times where I've woken up with my heart beating and clenched fists, my shoulders up by my ears, and feeling like I've just had a car accident. I'm like, jeepers, Joni, what's happening? I wake up with quite a fright. I don't know why my body's in that state of fight. And I've actually got to calm myself down. There's obviously something happening in my brain. And I'll be thinking invariably it's about one of my daughters or something that's quite close to home or a sick parent. And you get into that state, even in your dreams. So your brainstem wakes you up. And what I need to do to get back to sleep, if it's 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning, I use the 4-7-8 breathing to completely relax me. So use it in times of stress, use it in times of reprioritizing, use it in times of saying, hey, I've just done a deal and I'm going to celebrate that deal. I think in terms of resilience, we don't celebrate enough. So celebrate the tiny things in life. and think, okay, I'm going to do my 4-7-8 breathing, I'm going to go outside, I'm going to play a really good podcast or a good song on my phone, and I'm going to celebrate this moment. They don't have to be big celebrations, they don't have to cost a cent, but actually we've got to look at how we can deal with ourselves differently. So that's the O, that's the ring finger. This is your commitment to yourself, that you are going to perhaps exercise 20 to 30 minutes a day in bite-sized chunks, and or you're going to get oxygenated blood to your brain, and just segment your day. Perhaps after lunch you think, what do I need to get done? Do your 4-7-8 breathing. So that's the second tip. We're going on to the third tip. Now I don't want to be rude here, but this is the middle finger, which I'm not going to show you. It's the second O. And I decided when I was crafting this that we need to look at what are we doing compassionately towards ourselves and others? And that's the opposite of what we call the middle finger. So the second O is about open your heart. On the screen right now, you see a model of emotions called the Plutchik model. Google it, download it. It's a psychiatrist who came up with 32 emotions on this beautiful model. Why do I advocate it? Because many of us, in times of stress, do not know how to name our emotions. What you can also see on the screen is we use a term called name it to tame it. Because from a brain perspective, actually, the minute you name your emotions, your brain simmers down. If we were to put you into a functional MRI and monitor your brain as you spoke about different emotions, the emotional centers in your brain would calm down, which is why coaching works, which is why phoning a good friend to share your troubles. A problem shared is a problem halved. So try to name your emotions. When I ask people in a fun way during a webinar to say, and perhaps you could do this in the chat box now, say, how many emotional words do you use on average? Do you know what the average is? 4 or 5. How many emotions are there? 3,000. Plutchik is giving you 32. How do you use this model? Download it, have a look at the epicenter of the model. Those are the intense emotions. And then as each of the petals filter out, the emotions become less intense. So the rage goes to annoyance. So have a look at how you can name your emotions differently. I've really tried to teach my colleagues and my children to name their emotions accurately. They'll say, gee, Joni, I'm so irritated. I'm in a state of rage with that client. And of course, you're not in a state of rage. The client has irritated you. How can you downplay that emotion? So the intensity is really important. And then what Plutchik does beautifully is between each petal, he looks at the combination of emotions. I was coaching someone the other day who has a really difficult family situation to deal with his wife, who unfortunately has had an affair. And he was saying, Joni, I don't know what to do. My children are really young. She's had an affair. I don't know really whether I'll ever trust her again. So I said to him, look at the Plutchik model. Love is all about the combination between joy and trust. So you've got to look at how can you rebuild this trust in your relationship. And it was such an aha moment to him, because what is love for you? What is optimism for you? As a leader in your business, optimism is an emotion out of all the emotions that is the most driving of emotional intelligence and the competencies around emotional intelligence. How can you be optimistic? On the Plutchik model, optimism is the combination between joy and anticipation. So if you have that curious growth mindset that Carol Dweck talks about, you can develop and exercise your optimism. So perhaps stop looking at the glass half empty. Perhaps in talking to your colleagues, talk in a way that is optimistic. Emotions are contagious. So if you start using words that are more positive, more empowering of people around you, you will notice a difference. Notice it in your home, notice it on your telephone conversations. Optimism really drives performance. In fact, when you email me about the 5 boost things that you're going to do differently, I'm very happy to share with you the latest piece of leadership research that has come out 10 days ago. 70 countries, 1,325 leaders looking at how they are navigating change. So I work for a company called 6 Seconds. We do these big pieces of research around emotional intelligence, and it's riveting to read. And I can tell you, one of the things that came out is exercise optimism. The other that came out, leaders are looking at ways of being more resilient. So I have never been happy in running my company, Resilient People, because we are starting to see that people need to take ownership of their energy and their resilience. So please use the project model, email me if you want the research. And then the last tip around this open your heart is what can you do practically to sum up to end your day? So we all brush our teeth at the end of the day. You'll never forget this. This is what I do when I brush my teeth. I literally, as I start to brush, I think to myself, okay, Joni, what can you let go of today? So something happened that really didn't work well. You got some robust feedback that didn't sit well with you. Feedback, we know, is the breakfast of champions, but sometimes it's hard to get that feedback. You get that feedback, you internalize it, but maybe you need to let it go, let the anger go that came with that feedback. The second thing that I do ask myself is I say, Joni, what is your big, hairy, audacious goal? I'm looking at launching a resilience assessment backed by 24 years of emotional intelligence. I'm really excited about that. It's my big, hairy, audacious goal. I'm finding it quite overwhelming, developing it and putting it together. But every day I do a small bit in alliance to getting that goal landed. So break it down into those tiny habits, those tiny chunks. And I plant the seed the night before when I'm brushing my teeth. What am I going to do tomorrow about the e-learning for that resilience assessment? And then lastly, what am I specifically grateful for today? So every day there's something to be grateful for, and it's not woo-woo stuff. It hardwires your brain differently. We start to look at life differently. And I'm sometimes grateful for an argument that I've had with one of my daughters or a mate, because out of that robust conversation can come some clarity, and I can learn something. I'm certainly grateful for new clients. I'm grateful for actually the beautiful weather that we've had in Johannesburg of late. It's been freezing in the morning. I've had my pool freezing over, and then it warms up so magnificently during the day. I'm from Durban. I'm really not used to all of these extreme temperatures, and I'm grateful that I'm having this time in this really, really cold winter in Johannesburg. So what are you grateful for on a daily basis? If you did those 3 questions while you're brushing your teeth at night, I'm telling you, you will open your heart. So that's the middle finger, but the opposite of being compassionate to self and compassionate to others. Okay, let's go on to the S. So what do you think the S stands for? So we've done the bed, we've done oxygen to your brain, we've done open your heart, and now the S. The S is a really favorite topic of mine, and I'm going to have to be mindful about keeping it short because it's about stopping sugar and starting supplements. If you and your family haven't watched the documentary called That Sugar Film, email me and I'll give it to you. It's a documentary that's about 7 years old, and it's absolutely robust and fun and really engaging, lots of fun music around what sugar does to your brain and your body. If you walk down the supermarket shelves and you look at what's on those shelves, 80% of the foodstuff on our supermarket shelves has added sugar. Do you know that when your mum and your dad bought peanut butter, there was no sugar? When they bought bread, there was no sugar in it. Now, all of those foodstuffs have added sugar. Sugar literally fries your brain. It makes you have that brain fog feeling. So if there's one thing you want to do, you want to start reading labels. The minute you start reading labels, you'll start realizing how much sugar there is in foodstuffs. Even if you go to a health shop, I'm mindful of the fact that many of the health shops don't sell healthy foods. Read the labels. Sugar has 70 different names. So you read it and go, oh my goodness, multidextrin, dextrose, there's all sorts of fancy names. I think products need to be simple. If there's more than 5 ingredients, I don't buy it. Think about what you can do to make foodstuffs at home. Think about eating like a rainbow. Think about, gee, what did I have for breakfast this morning? Perhaps egg on toast. Lunchtime, maybe I need some cherry tomatoes and some greenery, maybe some broccoli or great salad with some tuna. What am I eating at night? I really take stock on a daily basis of how much color I've had on my plate. This is a way we can boost our immune system. This is a way we can decrease our inflammation. And it's incredibly important. We're all going out there not knowing where COVID is. It's the unseen enemy. And of course, you have to go shopping. You've got to get food. Even if you order in or if you've got online shopping, that food stuff can come in with COVID. COVID can live in your fridge for apparently 14 days. So it likes the cold, as we know. So what can you do to keep yourself resilient? You've got to eat well. You've got to sleep well, you've got to exercise well, and you have to stop the sugar. What do? Is I do supplement. We don't have the kinds of soils we used to have. So the things that I take every day, vitamin C, at least 1,000 milligrams. If I'm getting a scratchy throat, I take up to 6,000 milligrams. Yes, that may be too much, but of course your body excretes what it doesn't need. So vitamin C on a daily basis. I also take vitamin D. We live in a beautiful sunny country, but unfortunately we don't spend enough time outside. So please take vitamin D. Vitamin D is responsible for about 200 processes in your body. It's also quite aligned to mood. So if you're suffering, feeling a bit low and emotionally moody and just feeling down, take some vitamin D. I take zinc as well, which is a great immune booster. I've got omega-3 there, which is absolutely brilliant for your brain. If you're not eating fatty fish or mackerel or salmon at least 3 times a week, many of us don't do that, you need to take omega-3 on a daily basis. And then lastly, magnesium. So magnesium is huge in terms of relaxing the body but boosting the immune system. Magnesium is responsible for up to 340 processes in your body. So I take magnesium in 2 ways. I take magnesium at night before I go to sleep, and that completely relaxes me. It gets me into slow wave sleep. And then, you have those days where you're not feeling so great. I take a really big water bottle. I put a magnesium fizzy into that. You can get it at any chemist or Dischem. And I add a teaspoon of vitamin C powder. And I drink that during the day. Gives me a bit of va-va-vum, and it just gives me energy. And it's interesting that I notice the difference when I'm not taking it. So if you're feeling a bit low mood-wise or energy-wise, boost that vitamin C and boost that magnesium as well. I worked for some time with Dr. Tara Swart, who is the only person in the world who is a psychiatrist and a neuroscientist. I mean, it's fascinating. She cuts open brains. And she said, Joni, when she travels the world and she's in times of stress, she just really ups her magnesium intake. And when she comes to South Africa, she buys Citricilmag, and any of our magnesium, she said, is really good quality. So think about you having that, think about your kids having that if they're really battling with online learning, etc. Look at the supplements that you are having. Our soils do not nourish us the way they used to. Okay, so that's all about making sure that we start supplements and we stop sugar. So the reason I got this index finger here is because, remember when we were kids, your parents said, stop it, stop it, stop it. So stop sugar if you can. You'll feel very different. Take it out of your tea and coffee. You'll start to taste the beautiful flavors of various teas you drink or the beautiful coffees that you drink as well. Please, please, please. This is a must-do to lower the inflammation in your body. We know that people who have developed diabetes 2, which is a lifestyle disease, have many, many more complications with COVID-19 than if you don't have diabetes. So this is a non-negotiable. Okay, are we ready to kind of bring this to a close? And we are going for the last letter in Boost, and this is the thumbs up one. So the thumbs up one is the T, and it's something we forget. In times of severe stress and overwhelm, we forget that we need time for fun. So did any of your mothers say to you, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail? So what are you doing for time for fun? I have to say, in lockdown 5, I really planned for this. I made sure that we had little gratitude cards on our dining room table, and we could write them. There's something quite different about writing a gratitude card and giving it to a family member than sending them a WhatsApp. So I encouraged our family of 4 to say, write a little gratitude card or an act of kindness. So my daughters put me to the test because they know I don't like other people's toes at all. And they wrote me this little act of kindness card and said, Mum, we can't go and have our toenails done. Could you please paint our toenails? So of course I did it. We put on good music. I made sure I had good aromatherapy oils around me, and I gave them act of kindness was a pedicure. So I'm loving the fact that in these very difficult times we go back to some basics and we do some really kind things that are basics. For those of us who are driving around, I hope you are driving around with biscuits or mealie meal or sandwiches or something in your car. I'm finding it quite depressing driving around Johannesburg. At every intersection, I'm seeing people with starved looks in their faces. We know that up to 50% of people in this country are going to bed hungry at night. So daily acts of kindness are a must. Please make some sandwiches. Make sure that you have these things in your car. And then I want to end on compassion. In our family, we have a saying, less judgment, more compassion. So the minute you're going out judging someone or being critical, just stop yourself in your tracks. Think about what they are going through. Many people are not articulating what they're going through. Everybody is battling. Everybody is trying to pivot their business, do something different, make sure that they're upbeat. When you speak to your clients, your high energy, your dynamism is what sells you as a sales associate. So please at Remax, have a look at what you can do in terms of less judgment and more compassion for yourself and for others. There are 8 competencies in emotional intelligence, and actually one of them is around empathy. And we always think of empathy for others. I'm inviting you to have empathy and self-compassion as well. I think there should be a word called me-empathy. What are you doing in a self-compassionate way? So time for fun is va-va-vum, it's quiz games, it's dress-up dinners, it's having some fun with your family or your mates, but it's also, time for fun is inward. It's self-compassion. It's that thumbs up to yourself. It's that way of celebrating. When you've made a small deal or you've studied something, you've just learned something different, and you're saying, okay, I deserve some little bit of time for fun. So what I sometimes do in the middle of the day, I go like, okay, I'm making myself a lovely meal, rainbow on my plate. The rainbow and color on your plate is not Smarties or Jubes, by the way. It's real food, real food. And I sit on the grass, and my dog's next to me, and I have 20 minutes just devouring my food, playing with my dogs, listening to a good song. Look at small ways of introducing time for fun into your day. So that brings us to a close in terms of boost. But what are we going to do from here? Is I've invited you to anchor all 5 of these big topics on your left hand. So what are you doing for sleep hygiene? What are you doing for oxygen? What are you doing for open your heart? What are you doing for stopping sugar and starting supplements? And what are you doing for time for fun? There is my email address, there is my website. If you email me directly with what you're doing in 5 different ways, you will get a gift of my ebook, so the FAB quotient, which stands for Fuel Your Body, Activate Your Brain, and Behave Differently, Fight Fatigue, and Realize Some Resilience. So that's the ebook. Secondly, I promised you 2 gifts. I'm going to give you a 14-day high mental performance challenge. This is not mine. This is Gilan Gork's. I highly recommend it. He launched this in February this year. I went through it, and it was a game changer for me. So it's 11 minutes per day of high mental performance activities. I start every day doing my 11 minutes still, and where are we now? We're the end of July. So I too think you will benefit as well. So it's 14 days, you do 11 minutes a day, and you will start to think differently. You'll start to self-manage differently. So those are the 2 gifts, but you don't get it for nothing. You need to tell me which behaviors you are shifting, and please share this with your friends and family. Please make sure that you buddy up. You maybe have an accountability partner. If you want to boost your resilience, Personally, professionally, and in your business, you want to make sure that you do these things, and accountability partners work. So phone your mate when you're going to go read an hour before bed. Phone your mate when you're going to go for a walk on your own in the morning. Make sure that you know what your mates are doing, they know what you are doing, and do it sustainably. 7 days a week is what these boost activities are all about. So thank you for your time. Thank you for staying committed to listen right till the end. I'm looking forward to hearing from you, and let Remax grow from strength to strength. Adrian, it sounds like your leadership is superb, and it's been lovely getting to know a little bit about your business and what you do in South Africa. And I'm sure if you take these tips, you will grow again from strength to strength out of this pandemic into the next normal. Thank you from Joni Peddie, and it's over and out. Have a great, great day.